welcome to Wine Den, the podcast where we talk wine and everything that goes with it. And it just so happens to be chocolate today, and I think we're all pretty excited.
So stoked.
Yes, we have Manoa chocolate with us. Is Tammy, you want to go by Tammy or Tamara?
I'm Tamara Butterbaugh, and I go by Tammy.
Okay, Tammy.
So
there we go. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.
I'm so excited that you actually brought the cocoa beans. I've never seen one. I've only seen it on like Willy Wonka.
Is that what it is? I thought it was something from Stranger Things.
It's very bizarre.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Can we touch and,
go ahead.
and play it?
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is a cacao pod. Okay. This is the tropical fruit that chocolate comes from. And I'm going to dare you right now to crack it open
Seriously?
and show everybody what's inside. So this
Hashtag unboxing.
Yeah.
Right?
This is the fascinating part of chocolate.
Oh.
It almost, it's a bizarre looking tropical fruit. The aroma is almost like lychee or melon, and it looks like a cluster of grapes, how they would grow if you hang it upside down, but it's encased in this pumpkin-like husk that protects it. And so we can actually all taste, the fruit. So yeah, go ahead and grab one of the
so I put this
fruits,
down.
and just take one and suck it like a Skittle.
Like
no,
a
like a
Skittle?
Jolly Rancher.
Okay.
Suck the sweet pulp off.
Oh.
It's really slippery.
Oh, slippery, yo.
This is peak ripeness. So we actually measure the bricks level at the time of harvest. So what does it taste like?
Damn, I
Like
wish
a
I had
sour
default.
candy almost.
It's like a
Sour
kind of,
Patch Kids.
High chew.
Hi, chew.
the texture is almost like a,
Starburst.
well, the texture is a little bit like a soursop or like a lychee. It's like really creamy. Okay, so if you bite into the center and you look at the inside, which won't be the most glamorous experience.
I'll do it.
But this is, go ahead, you do it.
I'm
You
used
do
to
it.
being made a fool of, so anyway. So
Look at the inside, and what do you see?
it's like
Purple.
purple.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
actually my saliva. Don't tease me.
It's a really beautiful dark purple
gorgeous.
seed that has, go ahead and taste it, like chew it a little bit. It's bitter. So this is the cacao. So when we talk about cacao, it's like talking about the grapes, right? So I'm really happy to be here today because so many people grow up, everybody knows what chocolate is, but they don't actually know what chocolate is, because it would almost be like the equivalent of drinking wine without the knowledge or understanding that it comes from a grape. And that's how most of the world has been raised, with that understanding, that disconnect of where the plant comes from and how it starts before it turns into the final product.
It kind of looks like an Okinawan sweet potato.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the
got
color?
a beautiful deep color, and there's actually varieties that are white in pigment, and they have a different name. So similar to, you have Vitis vinifera, which is your grapes, and then you have the varietals, the Cab, Syrah, Merlot. You also have that in chocolate as well. So there's so much to unpack as to how chocolate relates to wine, and it begins with this fruit.
And where did
yeah.
that come from?
Okay, so this fruit, Theobroma cacao is the name. Hawaii is the only state in the United States that has that perfect tropical climate to grow chocolate. And so we are seeing cacao farms pop up all over the state of Hawaii, which is really exciting. So if you think about, the wine industry, the world of wine, you have regions, old world, that are known for centuries of knowledge.
And they know what that is now.
Wow.
Yes.
Finally, they know what that is now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm the chocolate sommelier at Manoa Chocolate. My husband Dylan started Manoa Chocolate 10 years ago, right out of the University of Hawaii. We were, high school sweethearts, and both passionate about sustainability, the environment, and most importantly, Hawaii, and building a future here that was meaningful. And we were looking at how can we start a business based in agroforestry that is good for the Aina, respects place. We can talk about each place, where it's grown, where it comes from. And it just so happened that at that time, Hawaii was positioning itself to be to have cacao as a new agricultural crop. In the past we focused on coffee, we have tropical fruits, fresh cut tropical flowers, and we wanted to diversify, and we also want to emphasize food and also environmental restoration. So that's kind of where we were coming from, and the state was looking for those kinds of opportunities. So that's the future of chocolate. Now, what we have with chocolate now is mass-produced industrial chocolate. So that would be like the equivalent of everybody drinking just box wine with no idea what grapes they are. it's just wine. It just comes in a box.
Well,
and
I'm going to stop you on wine. We have to take a quick break, but we will definitely get into the wine.
One heard box wine, she's like, I need a break.
When the sun comes up, your bill goes down with Revolusun. Call 748-8888 or visit online at revolusun.com now. Hawaii's premier solar provider. 120-day peace of mind guarantee exclusively at Inspiration Interiors. Inspiration will refund you the difference if you find a lower price on identical merchandise delivered in Hawaii.
So where chocolate has come is sort of like the craft beer movement. Now it's about craft chocolate, and Hawaii is on that leading edge. The thing that makes us really special as a state is that we can also grow it. So this is where it becomes a lot like wine. In wine, we talk about AOC, DOC, the different designated growing regions. Well, in Hawaii, we have ahupua'a. We have the mokupuni, we have the moku. We can teach people about place. So here in our collection of chocolate bars, we actually have a map of all the places that are growing cacao in the islands. When we started 10 years ago, it was more of a vision and a few research plots at UH, and now there's farms popping up throughout the state. So in our collection we have,
You should give it to her.
Sorry.
yeah, no worries. These are what we call inclusions, and these on the table are what we call single origins, and that's the main thing to understand about fine chocolate. When you're doing the single origin experience is about labeling exactly where the chocolate or the cacao is grown on the front of the chocolate bar. And all of us in the craft chocolate movement have a tendency to do a 70% dark chocolate recipe where we're not adding anything besides the bean itself, the cacao nib
That's the
after
bean?
it's roasted. Yeah, so these are the seeds. They get fermented, dried, roasted, and then deshelled and crushed into chocolate. So there's only two ingredients. The concept is if we're all doing 70% cacao with nothing but the bean and the pure cane sugar, then we're actually tasting the differences in the terroir. And so we can do that, you know, fast forward 10 years later, I barely had Hawaiian cacao, and now we have 5, 6 different origins, and they're increasingly growing. So
How cool.
That's what we do when we talk about single vineyard, right?
exactly.
So,
this came from Manoa. That's where Dylan and I live, and we have a cacao farm there. And we're starting a farm on the North Shore now. So the idea was always to farm and do agroforestry and land restoration, that kind of thing. But it took us 10 years to actually start a farm, and the idea was to reverse engineer. So it's not that we grow all of the cacao, we're like the winery amongst many vineyards, family vineyards in the region. And we work with multiple cacao farmers in the state.
wow, you are nailing the connection to wine, by the way. So
She really did her homework.
I grew up in an old school, like classic environment where like the dessert always had to be, the wine always had to be sweeter than the dessert.
Right.
Like no matter what. And like, we're not talking about sweetness when it comes to your
Right,
wine.
so now what we have a tasting wheel on the table, and what I want to do is play a game involving wine and how you guys can think about wine and chocolate at home, because this is the Manoa chocolate lifestyle. Think about chocolate not as candy. This is not, fine chocolate, craft chocolate is about actually tasting the quality of the cacao itself. And so you can pair virtually any beer, spirit, wine with fine chocolate, because you want to think of it more like cheese or food. It has savory flavors, it has fruity flavors, and on the wheel, for example, we have roasted, earthy, nutty, we have floral, fruity. So the game I thought for today is to just hang out and taste whatever you wanted in terms of wine. And then what we do in our tasting events in our tasting room in Kailua at the factory where our chocolate is made is just pour, we always go wine first. How does the wine taste? And then what chocolates do we have in this vast collection that we can, complement it?
That's so
Sounds
cool.
fun.
I mean, that's exactly what I do for,
You do it with food.
yeah, with
Yeah.
food. Like we taste the dessert first, and then it's like, I have a Rolodex of thousands of wines that I could, so we're picking the perfect wine, but I understand, like, yeah, I mean, you know chocolate so well, and you have these diverse, like, single vineyard chocolates, these origin chocolates that, yeah.
Right. So this is, something fun that we can play. So what do you get on here?
Cool.
It is vegan.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that.
Vegan.
I love you already.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
So no, see, like it actually says.
No, I know. I didn't know you were vegan. That was a joke.
The idea is like it's just the bean, which is a roasted nut, the cacao nut, and sugar, pure cane sugar. So most chocolates, a lot of people think you have to have milk chocolate, or all chocolate has milk, which
Right.
couldn't be further from the case.
That's not the truth.
So it's all dairy free. Not all of it. So if we have again, styles, right? You can have sparkling, sweet, dry, port. You can have, fortified wines. There's all types of wines. There's all types of chocolate. So we have the single origins, and we have milk chocolates. And we have New World and Old World.
Oh.
So what do I mean by that? Okay, think about all the regions that are known
No,
for
we just said
chocolate.
that because it was like a wine term
Yeah.
too. Sorry, we're just like,
Yeah.
whoa.
We're getting so excited.
Right.
Guys, we're going to hold that thought. We'll be right back.
What?
Enjoy Andis Winery's new painted fields Cuvée Blanc featuring the sought-after Vermentino varietal, exclusively at 7-Eleven Hawaii. Rest easy with the new windows from Windows Hawaii, featuring Ali'i Extreme windows with their exclusive sound reduction and security package. Call 671-0808 today.
Okay, so playing the wine and chocolate pairing game, starting with the wine. The nose is like elegant, floral, refreshing, crisp, light. What is this?
This is Champollion Vouvray. So this is, you asked me to bring everyday kind of wine, and I sort of cheated because this is not Prosecco. This is not pearl wine, something from Germany that's a little cheaper. This is from the Vouvray appellation in the Loire Valley, so very historical. Chenin Blanc is the grape.
Oh my God, I love Chenin Blanc.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of oxidative things. You have your nutty aromas. You have, in its still form, when it doesn't have bubbles, people talk about wasabi. People talk about spice.
What do you mean by still form?
No bubbles.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
sparkling and still. So do you have something that?
So my first instinct after taking a taste is that it's floral, light, and the beauty of this wine is the finish that sort of like stays forever and is floral on your palate. I don't know if you would agree.
Oh, totally.
So I'm going to the Ko'olau Poco chocolate. This is a blend. So it's single origin, but it's a blend of 3 ahupua. It's Kahalu, Waimanalo, and Waiahole. So these are small producers that are buddies of ours, and I'm one of them, actually, Dylan and I, in Waimanalo. And they all take their harvest, the wet seed, to one central fermentory. And then we receive the beans when they're fermented and dried. And then what we do is evaluate them based on how they taste raw before we go into the roast.
Like in that form, in that what we did in the beginning.
Yeah, the
it's
bars
very
are pretty.
Sorry, I hold that up.
Basically, this is a plant-based
Jeez Louise.
cellulose. It's not plastic, just so you know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
that's rad.
biodegradable.
And then right before we get in the chocolate, I noticed that under it has like 70% dark chocolate, but then it also has some where it's like dark chocolate and 70 cacao. Is there a
It's the same.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly the same. I think we're probably going to update the packaging to be consistent.
Thanks,
But-
Moani.
Sorry, no, I was just wondering. I was sitting there
but
like,
it's-
okay, what is it?
That's-
You know what?
it's similar to
I am
wine,
just
right?
Asking questions.
You're very good at that. Can we get into the chocolate?
Okay, let's get
Okay.
into the chocolate.
So this is your.
Yeah, so
Your
this
go-to.
is the Ko'olau Poco region, Kahalu, Waimanalo, Waiahole. So now that you've already had a sip of the wine, what you want to do is just taste the chocolate. If you're an evaluator, if you're a reviewer of fine
Yeah.
chocolate,
What's the etiquette?
see, this is the thing where if I was writing, giving it an evaluation, which there's now professional evaluators and
Chocolate sommelier.
awards
Cool.
and things like that. Yeah, you would listen for the snap, which is the temper.
Okay.
You
Oh,
would
snap.
release the aroma, smell the nose.
Should we do it?
No, this is the thing. Is there's a methodology if you're getting really fancy, but the way I do it in the tasting room is I just enjoy it. The main idea is you want to just taste, like bite into it even, but let it roll over the top of your tongue and pay attention to, like wine, the start, the middle, and the finish.
Mid palate. We talked about
So
mid
take a
palate.
sip of the wine and then take a.
No, we've already sipped the wine.
Yeah.
So now just taste the chocolate.
Moani.
I think it's so funny because, like, as she was talking, I was
Rookie.
already eating it.
I'm just excited. Let me be.
Wait, is that vegan?
Yeah, it's vegan.
Oh, okay.
Have you been listening?
So enjoy the chocolate. And the flavor profile of the chocolate is like really light. It's actually a little bit nutty
Yeah.
and it's super floral.
Oh,
Like
very good.
if you guys were looking at the wheel, I would gravitate towards almost like the citrus tropical on the end. I don't know what kind,
Wanna
maybe
hold that up?
more like Yeah, like the lychee, lilikoi kind of tones.
I was gonna say lychee lily
Thank
quite.
you.
Sometimes, so there's different harvest seasons even, just like vintages in wine. So the same Ko'olau Poko bar could taste different one year to the next. Sometimes it's more melon-like, sometimes it's way more nutty. This time, sometimes it's more star fruit. So I think that this might be a good pairing. What do you guys think?
Honestly,
Great.
I'm sold.
Oh,
Did you like the pairing?
I think it's fantastic.
Did you guys try it
I
together?
love it.
So the next is then you take another
Take
bite
a
of the
sip.
chocolate, and if you guys need some more, we can do that to wash it
Oh,
down.
I think I need more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
lots
saving
more.
mine's over
More
here.
chocolate, please.
So then, while you still have the chocolate on your palate, sip the wine
Okay.
This is awesome.
and see if they're complementary. And you won't know until you taste it. You can't guarantee until you try it. Would you like some more?
Yes.
You've done this before, huh? Wow.
So that just is like an example of
It's very interesting.
they actually work together. I think that's a good pairing.
That's a great pairing.
Yeah, it really is. Because what happens is if you have a bad pairing, you will know it right away.
Oh, for sure.
It'll clash.
Please stop looking at me.
No, I'm just like,
eyeballs.
I just want to tell people, it's like, huh, it's not vegan. Let's watch more Moani to throw up.
You
I'm
got
just joking.
steak coming. Next one. You'll be fine.
Yeah, so it's like they don't compete with each
I'm
other.
going to hold you off right there. We'll be
Yeah.
right back with Wine In.
Mahalo guys, welcome back to today's cocktail of the week. So we're gonna make something that's following this week's theme, something really rich and decadent, also utilizing something that is made with Manoa chocolate. We're gonna use some coco leca, which is made by Kohana Rum over on the west side, over in Kunia. We're gonna do a ½ ounce of this coco leca, which is a cacao honey infused rum. We're also gonna double up on some more Kohana and use their coho, which is a barrel age expression of theirs. For this, we'll do 1½ ounces. It's kind of like a variation of a old fashioned, if you will. Now our sweet component here, we're gonna use a demerara syrup is what they tend to call it. Also turbinado sugar, sugar in the raw is what we use to cut this with some water. 1/4 ounce here, something really light. Not too heavy-handed on this. Also gonna add a little bit of chocolate bitters here. A couple dashes should be just perfect. We kind of want to pop those chocolate flavors out. We're also gonna use some whiskey barrel aged bitters, same thing. 2 dashes here, be just perfect. Now it's gonna be a stirred cocktail, just like a typical old-fashioned would be. One last thing we want to add into this to bring in a little savoriness into the party. This is just a drop of saline solution. So I use Hawaiian sea salt to make this. Just warmed it up with some water. Really bridges a lot of these flavors together. We'll go in and stir this guy up real quick. And while I'm stirring this, I'm gonna go and get my glassware ready. Add a nice pretty clear ice cube to it. Any kind of ice will work. That's just what Ice Cube Hawaii has hooked us up with here. Our garnish is actually gonna be a sea salt chocolate that we actually got from Manoa Chocolate here. The chocolatier. Cheers.
Star Advertiser, bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser digital full access subscription for just $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHITHING.
Thank you, Tevis, for the cocktail of the week. All right, we're back with Tammy. And during the break, we actually had a bit of the Mililani chocolate. And Moani and I tasted banana, which is so crazy. But anyway, let's head over
And
to
we
the wine.
tasted raspberry, and nobody's wrong, nobody's right or wrong with that,
Just
right?
like with wine
It's like
tasting.
wine.
Yeah.
Cool. So you opened my eyes to new pairings and just crushed it right out of the park. Can I try as
Let's
well?
do another
cool.
one in
so,
the game.
So I grew up with this particular grape and varietal,
Ooh.
and it was like my favorite chocolate wine is, you know, I hate to say this, but
How interesting.
I think the chocolate and wine thing, like the things that people normally think go with chocolate don't necessarily go with the chocolate that they are used to eating, right? Because not a lot of people are used to eating these amazing chocolates. I
You try.
I grew up. Oh, sorry, that's yours.
Oh,
I'll get you a fuller glass.
She's like,
Oh,
that's a
hello.
bad pour. That's a
yeah,
terrible pour.
I get my own. Okay.
So yeah, being a sommelier at Alan Wong's, the coconut is one of the premier desserts there, right? Chef Michel. It's done with coconut, haupia, milk chocolate, a bunch of fruits. That was like the classic pairing with this wine. This is made from Braida. It's called Brachetto di Acqui, which people who are familiar with Moscato d'Asti, right? Like everybody grows up drinking Moscato. It's really similar. In fact, it's grown in a neighboring region. It's just using a red grape. So we served it with coconut, chocolate, haupia, sweet bubbles. I think it's fantastic.
Is Brachetto the name of the grape?
Brachetto's the name of the grape. Yeah, so like Moscato's the name of the grape, and it's Moscato of Asti. This is Brachetto of Acqui.
Okay, and this is the 60% coconut dark milk of Manoa chocolate of Kailua, Oahu.
So this is my attempt at trying to pair something that
Yeah.
I know only wine and yeah.
So this is an example of an inclusion, and it's a dark milk, which is a trend in craft chocolate, and it's vegan, which is awesome because it's a coconut milk. And we paired with local artist Shar Tuiasoa from Punky Aloha, and so go ahead and try it.
Okay.
What strikes me about this wine is it's very sweet, like
Mm-hmm.
similar of that style. It's sweet and tropical, almost has like a bubblegum kind of a
Yeah.
tone to it. And so whenever you're doing pairings, you want to do sweet and sweet. So we'll see how this works. This is one of our
really-
sweeter chocolates. But with that said, it's a 60%, and that's actually a lot less sugar than you would have in most milk chocolates. So it's the same.
If it's like, like not 60, 70%, because there's added sugar into
Right.
it.
So as we talked about earlier, 70% is cacao, the bean itself, 30% sugar, whereas in this case it's 60% cacao. It's the percentage is always the bean itself, and whatever's left over is not chocolate. So in this case, it's a little bit of coconut milk and a little bit of sugar. So that's why the percentage of sugar is actually not that much.
So what would you say would be like the best percentage, or
That would be like, what kind of liquor
Right.
has the most ideal level of alcohol?
She likes those kind of
what
questions.
would be like your,
I think that's a good question, but I just
Chris.
commented that way because it's like, are you in the mood for a bourbon? Are you in the mood for a port? Are you in the mood for Prosecco? So with chocolate, it's similar. Do you want something dark and like robust? Are you in the mood for something heavy, or do you want like a nice, creamy, old world style milk chocolate?
You are changing my entire perspective
This
of
is actually
chocolate.
really good.
I'm actually
the
gonna
pairing?
have to hold us
Yeah.
on that note. Go ahead and check us out on YouTube for our extended version. We're gonna have a whole bunch of stuff for you guys up there. So go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, let us know how we're doing, and if you want to see any more of Wine Am. All right.
Thanks so much
cheers,
for joining
Tamara.
us.
Thanks for joining us.
So much more to talk about.
Thanks, guys.
All right, hey guys, welcome to our YouTube extended version for Wine and Chocolate. We're here with Tamara, or Tammy, we'll call you today.
Her last name, Butterbaugh.
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 Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
From Manoa chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have completely changed my entire view on chocolate. Like, there's a reason why I chose probably an overtly sweet wine, is because like we're used to eating overly sweet chocolates, overly sweet dessert here. If I wasn't fully in love with your stuff already, like I already am. I get this question a lot. Like, people ask me about grocery store wine. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm at, XYZ grocery store, like, what do I buy? And I tell them, like, beer, right? Like, nothing. You should probably go to a wine store. Like, I'm not saying that you need to spend a bunch of money on wine. I hope we prove that in the show, but is there any, gun to your head, if you had to pick a grocery store chocolate, is the answer the same?
So that's a really interesting question. Let me kind of unpack that a little bit. I love the question because we are used to certain brands like Twix and Kit Kats and Snickers and like the candy, basically, which I loved enjoying growing up, trick-or-treating, like all of us. There's nothing wrong with that per se, and it's important to understand though that to compare the two is just kind of, I think, incorrect premise, because they're fundamentally different types of products. So I see what you're saying when it comes to, you know, when you want to drink fine wine, you want to go find like a specialty store and push your edge of knowledge and try something new, and not just do the generic mass-produced sort of mass-marketed for what people's flavor that they assume you would like, you know, versus trying wine for the sake of trying wine and trying new regions. So with chocolate, I think there's a shift in the market, and it's becoming more and more widely known. And this is exciting because when you eat mass-produced industrial chocolate, that's kind of how we talk about it, you're not tasting the cacao.
You're tasting sugar.
Oftentimes, like, I'll give you a little factoid, to even call a product chocolate, it needs to have a minimum of 10% cacao, according to the United States.
Noted.
So, not a lot.
Yeah, that's like
So
nothing.
you have like a whole bunch of other stuff that's
Yes.
not even cacao.
So you're enjoying something that is so highly processed and altered from its original state that you're really not tasting the cacao, the source of where it comes from, at all. So you're tasting the sugar, the bean with it's like chemically altered, its flavor is removed, and you're tasting whatever they add to it, as opposed to tasting the chocolate itself. And that's why the 70% is, you know, you asked earlier, like, what's the ideal percentage? So I made kind of a comment that it could be whatever you want, whatever your mood is, but really at 70%, that's like that sweet spot, which is why a lot of craft chocolate makers are all doing the same sort of standard of tasting to compare the flavor profiles from different regions. Because at that point, it's like dark enough to really get the complexity of the flavor, what that region has to offer, but just sweet enough to like let the sugar carry the subtleties, you know? Whereas sometimes if you are not used to dark chocolate,
Like
you
black
might
coffee,
be,
right?
exactly, you might be a little bit like, whoa, that's too bitter, and you're not used to it yet. So 70% is like that. So in other words, I don't look down upon, or I don't like stop myself.
You're so
these days,
nice.
how do I say it?
You're
These
so
days I
nice.
don't buy commercial mass-produced candy
Right.
because, I don't know, I'm trying not to have a lot of sugar.
Well, it's really
Right.
good that you're educating us.
No,
now,
yeah.
Seriously,
'cause I'm
mind-blowing
20
stuff.
years old. Now that I know, I'm like,
Can we
I don't
play
wanna
another?
eat that kind
Can
of
I
chocolate either.
pour another wine for you? that
Sure,
you-
absolutely.
Oh, I love this game so much.
You know, I will say candy's candy, but this is like food, basically.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. And the only other thing I want to mention about that is sometimes with mass-produced industrial chocolate, there's major social issues in how the beans are sourced, which is one of the premises of the American craft chocolate movement.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that most of the world's chocolate is it's tropical, right? So it grows anywhere 20 degrees north and south of the equator, which is why Hawaii is like that special exception. But it's usually coming from places like in West Africa, and that it's just it goes through so many hands as a commodity that by the time it ends up with the end user, the prices that they're paying for the original farmers, it's barely living wages, and you'll often find child slavery and issues like that. And the global market is now waking up and addressing it and talking about it and shining light on the issues. But when I was trick-or-treating in the 80s, like that was not
No one talked about it. It's
widely
crazy.
known. And that's part of not only it's about tasting chocolate and like this sort of foodie wine appreciation for it, but it's largely driven by the need for social justice in how the beans are traded
This is taking
globally.
me back to like Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why would you treat those little people like that?
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually really sad.
There's a subreddit like called F, like
Yeah.
a particular coffee or chocolate company
Yeah.
that has been known to like exploit.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
Yeah.
I'm avoiding all candies now.
I mean, you guys
Now
did
I
like,
know.
wine and diamonds earlier.
Right.
Same
And then,
issues
yeah,
that you
diamonds.
find in many industries that are, resource rich. Many regions are resource rich.
Labor poor.
There can be some, they don't have the same labor laws as the United States, put it
Got
that
it.
way. So understanding where your products come from and putting your money where your values are is also part of the American craft chocolate movement. And I will say, it's not just the United States anymore. At first we were on the leading edge, and that's what I meant by old world versus new world. Like old world is
Gotcha.
Belgium, Switzerland, Germany. These places are known for their chocolate, and yet they don't grow it, right? So the new world,
Oh.
yes.
Wow, I did not think about. Okay.
So
Because they're not in that 20
Exactly.
degree sweet spot.
So that's the whole idea. It's like we've been having chocolate with zero understanding of its origin, and we've been thinking about chocolate as Swiss or Belgian, but the actual raw material is grown in other regions. And so in that style, you're talking about where it's produced, the producer, right? Which is important, like in wine.
It's like the chef. It's the winemaker. It's the chef. It's,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's an art, and it matters, and where it's made is part of the local industry and the local dairy of the region. But that style is about the dairy and the region where it's made, but not where it's grown. So that's old world chocolate.
I'm not
Okay.
gonna buy. I'm not gonna buy
There's nothing
anything except
know,
like
I'm
tropical.
thinking,
Like
like,
seriously, like
No, but
am
I
I
don't
even
want to say like don't eat
No,
Swiss
say it.
chocolate. No,
Tell
no,
me.
no, no.
Say it.
Truly, because there's different types of wine, and you might like different things. So there's nothing wrong with old, like American, or sorry, Swiss, Belgian, German, creamy. It's just a style. It's a mouthfeel. It's a texture. You're having the milk and you're having the creaminess. Like I love that, and it can be done really well. So what New World style would be, and now it's not just the United States, it's producers in Hungary and like Czechoslovakia, like just all over, who are producing chocolate where they're labeling where the origin comes from.
Got
that's
it.
rad.
Yeah.
Can we do a blind taste?
Yeah, let's do it, sorry.
Cool. No, we talk about wines that are available to a lot of people. The Crema Chard, one of.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah. This is
familiar.
fun.
I know that name.
Oh yeah.
Didn't know that you were going to bring it, but it looks familiar. I've seen it
The
around.
first wine Moani knows.
Woo!
I'm joking.
This is great. Okay, so I'm so glad. So far, we've done kind of non-traditional ideas of what you would think you would pair with chocolate. So
Buttery Chardonnay.
yeah,
I never,
white
ever thought.
wines, light sparklings, buttery Chardonnay.
Blow my mind, Tammy.
This is classic. Okay, so what I'm excited about is having you guys try another Hawaiian chocolate.
Yes.
So this one is Kealakekua, which is Hawaii Island.
Ooh.
So it's over on the kind of Kona side. A lot of the early chocolate coming from Hawaii, like in the early years of Manoa chocolate, was coming from the Hamakua coast. So kind of like I call it like the Seattle of
Oh, cool.
Hawaii, you know, just like always rainy and really great for chocolate, but this has a little bit of a different quality.
I'm shaking right now. I'm so excited.
So what's
is so
neat
tasty.
is
Yeah.
we tried Ko'olau Poko, we tried Mililani, and now we're trying Kealakekua. So they're all Hawaiian single origin dark chocolates.
And this is for the wine that we're having.
Yeah, and so now you've tasted the wine. Go ahead and taste the chocolate by itself. Let's talk about the chocolate. The chocolate is
Okay, wait, I won't drink it.
yeah. Don't drink it yet. You want to really taste the chocolate first. And my impression compared to the other two is that it's far less fruity.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just more of like has that own.
It has that
Bold.
creamy kind of
Creamy.
mouthfeel
Yeah.
that you would.
Like
Yeah.
buttery.
I love dark
It has a buttery tone. It has like a oaky note. It has like almost like pine nut, not a lot of fruit. It's just kind of like a different melt, even like a more buttery melt, slower melt, more rich, full flavors. So in like Hawaiian chocolate has a tendency to be lighter than most other chocolates in the world from, you know, West Africa or South America, Dominican Republic, which tend to be more like earthy and roasted. So it's light, but it's still like got that creamy heaviness that I think would pair with a buttery Chardonnay. Because the chocolate, I want something refreshing to wash it down, but
Yeah.
that will match the body and the
So
mouthfeel.
it's a texture thing. It's a texture and weight thing.
Yeah, texture and weight is also part of it.
So,
You
what
are.
is something that you and your husband love to have? Like
Ooh,
getting off of work, getting out of a meeting, and you're like, you know what? Let's have some chocolate. Let's have some wine.
this, like what we're doing right now.
Oh,
We'll just get a bottle and we'll blind each other and try to guess what it is.
Really?
Yeah, so we met at Kalaheo. I don't know if we've talked about like our story, but he's from Kailua town, and the Butterbaughs are like a family that's from there, and very fortunate to you know, be loved and be a part of them. And we met senior year at Kalaheo, and we shared a passion for like just, I was like, save the world. We all need to recycle. Let's you know, take out all the
That's
invasive
so Kailua.
species.
No, I'm just
Yeah,
joking.
it really is.
totally. Yeah. So that was kind of like our shared passion, and when you're dating somebody for so many years, you grow up together, you keep changing as individuals and together. So you have like your shared culture in a way. And we fell into chocolate because it was like the perfect crop to bring all of our values together. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was like, I believe in you. And we were just like, how are we going to make money planting trees?
Yeah.
And Cacao came into the picture. But the beautiful and unexpected part of it was realizing the connection that it had to wine. And I was like, I see what you're doing. I get it. I know that craft chocolate is like super exciting and it's like craft beer, but like the Hawaiian cacao is so much like wine. Like we need to know wine. We need to get wine. We need to speak the language of wine so that people can understand not just what we're doing as a brand, but what the potential is for every other farmer and chocolate maker in the state.
How are we not friends? Like, how do we
We
not?
are now.
I mean, this is crazy. Can we do one more, and then can you tell us about like the wine? Can we talk about the wine and,
Yes,
and
please.
chocolate
Yeah.
project
The
that
bucket.
we have coming up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, one more, promise.
I'm just gonna.
That's just, it's mostly to like force the girls to drink more.
I know, but I really think it's so cool how a lot of businesses are started from like just romance. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Hasn't that happened a lot in the show?
You gotta fall in love
Like,
with
oh
each
my
other
gosh.
and also with the mission.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Same path.
So sharing and wine knowledge has been such a fun part of like growing deeper in our industry and kind of like showing those layers of how chocolate can contribute to our food and wine industry here in the state as well.
So most people know, like people who follow the show know that it's like basically like a show that exists so I can make friends with cool people and like, like ride their coattails and stuff. Okay, let's do one
Ooh,
more.
This is neat.
And then I want to talk, because everybody talks about Zinfandel and
Ooh.
chocolate. Like, I'm convinced it's a Hallmark thing. Like, it's it's Valentine's. Like, get wine
is-
and get chocolate.
This might
but
sound cliche, but this is like potpourri.
yes, fully.
It's like rose petals
Yeah.
meets like some kind of cedary wood.
So this is Carol Shelton. She was San Francisco Chronicles winemaker
It's
of the
actually
year.
good. You should try it.
Kind of spicy.
She's great. We're not gonna see this wine in Hawaii anymore, but
Really?
yeah, she's killer.
It's really pretty and balanced on the nose, like really floral, but also got spices and wood.
And that's an excuse for us to try another chocolate.
Oh yeah,
She
sorry.
got a sommelier for wine.
Oh, she is definitely.
You got a really good taste palette.
Yeah,
Ooh,
you
wow.
should probably be sitting in this chair.
Wait, so do you? I mean, so far the wines that we've tried, is that
Yeah.
something that you bring into Manoa
tasting
chocolate?
room?
Yeah, when you're doing the tasting.
Let's talk about wine and
Yeah.
chocolate.
So we always started our business with, let me take you on a journey, teach you the basics, like walk you around the production quickly, like 10, 15 minutes free tours. And then people would sit at the bar and taste the chocolate by itself, side by side, the different single origins. Then we started, as we got more into wine, we started having like wine and chocolate pairing events.
Oh.
So we would rent out our tasting room in the evenings for private parties so that he and I could just like buy, it was amazing. It was the perfect thing. We could hang out with new people, buy all the wines we wanted to try, share them with our groups, learn, enjoy with each other, and teach people, how to do this. And that's kind of led its way into actually we're looking at bringing in wine to the tasting room and doing like an evening service where instead of just talking about it, like for example, each bar has the pairings on the packaging that we would recommend.
Cool.
So it's kind of like for us, it's a given: chocolate and wine, chocolate and spirits. But now we're gonna start.
all our lives.
Yeah, I'm excited because it'll be fun to have. I always say like you can tell the health of a community, the economic health of the community by how many coffee shops are there. It's like vibrant, so the more the merrier. That's kind of how I feel about wine bars,
Oh.
and breweries.
So you're telling us we're in terrible health right now?
Not terrible.
Well,
I am going to ask though, just
Yeah.
before we forget.
Yeah.
So where can we follow you on Instagram? Do you have a website? Please
you
really
guys can
share.
follow us at manoachocolate.com. You can join our subscription. We were able to get through the pandemic by creating a club called the Manoa Monthly. And you get 3 bars a month to your doorstep, or if you're local, you can come and pick it up. And we do like a creative flavor every month that's different of the season, and then we always pull from our collection. Manoachocolate.com, and then Craft Chocolate TV has become something really cool. So that's my husband sharing his knowledge because the industry is so young, And you know, like, let's say you're a brewmaster and you're just passionate about beer. You're gonna probably want to hang out with other brewmasters and talk about yeast strains and fermentation and just like geek out. So basically, that's what he does on Craft Chocolate TV. Is he hangs out with other peers in the industry that want to see everybody succeed, so that this knowledge gets out there, and also make sure that other craft chocolate makers are doing a great job and not learning the hard way like he had to. So check that out. And
What is it, one more time?
Craft Chocolate TV. It's a YouTube channel. So if you really want to understand like the tech, I don't know, we just go from everything from startups to tech stuff about percentages, things like that.
Well, you did a great job of educating us. So thank you so
Yes,
much for your
thank
time,
you.
Sammy.
We didn't pair this one.
Oh, we gotta do it for the next time.
Okay.
All right, guys,
Please
be
join us
sure to
again.
hit the subscribe button, tell your friends, comment down below. We would love to hear from you. And be sure to follow us on our Instagram page at Wine and Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys so much.
Wine and